Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming. We're going to talk about PC rigs being banned in several US states. But really, they're not being banned. It's kind of more of a power efficiency kind of law that's been put into these states. So basically, what's happening is in several U.S. states, namely California, Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington, they are basically, it's pretty much that the different pre-built PC rigs from things like Dell and HP and Alienware and stuff like that, there are regulations on power efficiency. And so pretty much what it comes down to is that these states, in order to sell these gaming rigs, they have to pretty much get certified that these rigs match the power efficiency laws in these states that were enacted a while back. So that's really the gist of it. Now, I have read, I should say, that there were certain sites such as Dell and stuff that do sell individual parts, were not even able to sell those because of this power regulation. So, but it sounds like it might have been a little bit blown out of proportion, because it seems like they're not necessarily banning these gaming rigs. They just have to get them certified, which I'm sure these companies, if they want to sell these rigs in these states, which I'm sure they do, we'll probably quickly turn this around, get them certified, and then they're back to selling you a nice Dell gaming rig. Dude, it's a Dell. So, you guys remember that commercial? Anyway, let's go to...
Painfully.
Let's go. Shane, since you piped up, let's go ahead and go to you. What do you think of this?
I think it's just a load of horse shit. Instead of fixing people are worried about energy consumption and all that. I am pro, Mother Earth. I'm tired of pollutants. I'm tired of fossil fuel. But instead of, I don't know, bending people over and trying to get money from companies like Dell and shit to fork over a little extra just so, we'll get you in this state. Why not set up solar power, wind, freaking anything to better our energy consumption instead of doing crap like this? If there's a pollutant aspect to it, beyond the fossil fuel use because, of energy consumption, I can kind of understand it, but there's much better things that we can be doing. I think the jackknobs that came up to this are just trying to find another way to make it a few bucks. Like you said, Nix, if Dell wants to get into, let's say, Washington, I'm sure they could float a 50 over to, Senator Peckerhead there, and boom, they got a license to sell in Washington or, Oklahoma or Colorado or wherever the hell ever. It's laws like this, that are just stupid. There's really no other way to put it out. It's just stupid. Of all the crap that, our country could be working on, this is just another idiotic thing to distract people. And it is. Why? Because we're talking about it. So, Pat, before I go rambling on about how shit-stained our government is and politicians, would you like to say something before FBI gets us?
Well, just to point out, none of this is new, right? All this stuff was enacted back in 2016. It's just some of the more stronger components of the laws or act, whatever they want to call it, are coming due. I had trouble looking up the specifications for each of the acts for the other states, but California, they regulate everything to oblivion. So their monkeys are really good at making nice colored pictures, diagrams for everybody. So I was able to find their pamphlet on what their standards affect. And basically, it's a 4-tiered approach for them, with the 3rd tier kicked in July 1st of this year. So that's probably why we're seeing a little bit more news on this. And then the final step of it is going to be December of this year when the final step kicks in. So basically, tier 2 of desktop computers and thin clients and mobile gaming kicked in this month in July. And then in December, there'll be like another standards for high-speed networking capability and multi-screen notebooks, etc. But supposedly this thing covers monitors, desktop computers, integrated desktop computers, thin clients, mobile gaming systems, portable all-in-ones, computer notebooks, notebook computers, 2-in-1 notebooks, and mobile thin clients. And from what I've been able to ascertain or read from this is basically what they're regulating is the power consumption at idle. So when the computer is doing nothing but sitting there, which who's to say what is sitting there? Like my computer is almost always doing something, so are they? So I guess, are they saying that the computer can be so powerful, it can only absorb so much energy when nothing's happening on it, which there's always something happening on the background of a computer. So are they taking that, rate it when, however they're measuring it, they're basically saying that at a idle, your computer can only consume this much. What is not mentioned in here is components. So this doesn't seem to affect if we want to buy something from Newegg or Amazon. It only seems to be the pre-builts. So at that point, that's what we're seeing from there. I think it's probably not as bad as what they say it'll be, but we've seen Reddit posts from people saying that Dell won't deliver certain Alienware machines to them. So, Alienware is a high-end gaming machine, it is what it is. I would never buy one because I pre-built. So from the looks of it, I don't have anything to worry about. Nick probably doesn't have anything to worry about. Shane, and we're in Missouri, so it's not really going to affect us anyway, but if it ever rolls downhill into our state, which I hopefully it won't. We're gonna have to go to our senator's house with Lucille. There's another Walking Dead reference for the night. We're gonna take Lucille over to their house and tell them what we think of that. But Nick, what are your initial thoughts, man?
Yeah, there's all these regulations come into play. Like you said, it's been around for quite a while, so it's kind of weird that these companies such as Dell and HP and all these didn't already have something in place for this, knowing that this was coming, right? So, they had definitely a heads up that this was going to be happening in July, so they could have just put their regulations in place, I would assume, and it already been fine to, go ahead and business as usual. So it's kind of but this stuff's going to happen all the time. There's a lot of stuff that takes on power utilization. So kind of in Shane's thing. Yeah. Go green, start building those, water power and wind power and solar power and all that stuff. Like, if we're really hurting for power consumption, let's try to, fix the issue instead of just regulating everything, to a certain power standard. Right. As things develop, as technology develops, that's one thing that we've come to realize is it takes more juice to power these things, no matter what it is, the newest consoles, the newer TVs, they do have those power efficiency modes, but those suck unless you really want the true greatness out of that device of yours. You want it to take all the power it can because that's when it's going to look its best. So, they could come up with other ways, but these states have put these into place, and these publishers, these developers of HP and Dell and several others have, like I said, have had a heads up in knowing this was coming. So one of the questions too, and not necessarily a bigger question, but one of the questions too is why didn't these companies already have something in place to make sure that there was, because this is a stop in their business at this point, right? Dell can no longer sell to these states until they get certified. Why didn't they get certified before? It could be because maybe they didn't allow for certification until after July. There's several different things. There's probably a bunch of red tape, but all in all, we live in a state that is not affected by that. And even if it trickles down, hopefully, this is the first for all these companies. They'll already put some standard in place for their products. So more than likely it won't trickle down to everything else, even if we were to enact something like that in our state.
Right.
And yeah. I think go ahead, Pat.
I was going to say that it wasn't that Dell's not getting, or that they weren't getting the certification. It was that those machines didn't pass certification requirements, so they consumed more power than they were allowed to at idle. So, they're not allowed to basically sell that there because it basically uses too many watts at idle.
So are these like older rigs, or
no? They're still current stock Alienware machines. So they
just ones that they didn't develop to the specifications that these states regulated. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
You would think they'd have a grandfather system where they could grandfather in product that was manufactured by set date.
They do.
Most these energy compliance, fuel compliance laws, programs, whatnot, they usually have anywhere from a 5 to a 20-year time frame to set these things up. I mean, fuel efficiency standards for vehicles are typically, within 20 years or even more. So, I mean, if they were given, you said 2016, I believe you said, Nick, if they were given a 5-year head start, it's pretty much their damn fault if they can't get something sold there, because 5 years, that's a long time to get your shift together, get your energy efficiency where it needs to be for said states, or, make a system specific for Washington. This is our POS machine that, that you guys can run in your state.
Well, I commend them because in my opinion, why create something that's good for every state? Screw those six states or whatever that say you can't have these machines. We're gonna punish everyone else and make them buy our slower equipment because you guys can't have this. No, and they do have Alienwares that meet the requirements for California, but there are a few models in their lineup that don't. So I don't see a problem with the way that Dell's handling it or any of those Alienware. They're any of the high end brands, and there are some leeway for companies who do small batch stuff. So they make like there's a limit, and I didn't look at what the limit was, but if you make less than so many units and sell so many units, you're exempt from this. But in my opinion, their requirements are kind of, they went into effect in 2018. If anything's older than 2018, it's exempt. So that's your grandfather law. Anything newer than like September or something like that is a subject to this. So anything that they're going to be selling now is going to be considered newer. So it's not used. So basically the way it goes is, your computer can't. So as of now, your computer cannot basically run on 50 kilowatts per hour average per year higher. So you can't go higher than that on your idle 50 kilowatts. So, I mean, that's a pretty high end machine to do that. But I mean, some of those video cards are taking multiple power connectors and stuff. And if you're running Crossfire or SLI or anything like that, you're basically going to kill that. And they're basically saying, mobile gaming rigs are at 60, so it's a weird system they put into place because what are they going to consider mobile gaming? I mean, at one point we saw that you could take a Xbox Series S console and turn into a mobile gaming unit with a little flip up monitor. And I saw PlayStation has something similar now. So at some point those are going to be there.
What the hell are you hooking up to a PS5 for a mobile system?
Oh man, the monitor, they got a monitor system for those things. But yeah.
The monitor's curved.
You're right.
You got to have a damn wheelbarrow carry that some bitch around.
It's that new Samsung flip one. It's got the little crease in the middle so it can fold over. But
Shit.
I mean, California is good at one thing, and that's regulating anything to death. And so now they've just found this new thing. Computers are killing the environment, so we need to regulate them. Not these multi-million-dollar corporations pumping out massive amounts of this and all the cars on the street. It's computers and their gaming systems.
Yep.
Man.
Well, if it's one thing I've learned, I deal with California a lot in my job. And it's one thing I've learned. If California can find a way to fuck up somebody's life, fuck up their job, and just make people shit-eating miserable, California will find a way. That's their new slogan.
All right. And like I said, there's monitors looped into this too. So, and I couldn't find the standards on the monitors, but basically, there's some high-end monitors that they are targeting too. they're even targeting some medical computer equipment, medical computer monitors to follow the Title 20, because it's called Title 20 in California markings. So I'm like, you guys are making everything more difficult than it needs to be. But that's California for. California is the girl who wants California. This is how I look at California. California is the girl who wants the guy to pursue her, to chase her, and gets mad when she turns the guy down and he doesn't chase her. That's what California is. They're just like, we got to controversy the crap out of everything, so we stay up front and we just regulate it to death. That's California. That's how I look at them. And, and states in the outlying areas are going to kind of follow them. That's why we have those, Colorado
states
and
are very
Washington.
close.
Yeah. Vermont's like the outlier there.
Yeah. I mean, I understand energy saving. I do. Right now, water at the Grand Canyon is like the lowest it's ever been. The freaking Hoover Dam you could skip a rock across there right now. It's so shallow.
It's running out of beavers.
I understand that, but you people are regulating the wrong shit. And it's annoying. And, that's why people are so angry right now with government, no matter what side of the fence you're on. That's why people are so angry with it, because we're sick of ignorant, stupid crap like this.
Well, they're regulating the wrong stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
But to them, they're regulating the right stuff.
Well,
to them, they're regulating whoever's going to pay them is what it is.
Well, it doesn't affect them, right?
Right.
So,
right.
Oh, they'll get their pay. Don't worry. Somebody get taken out for strippers and hot dogs.
California's going to be like Spaceballs eventually. They're going to be importing their water and their air. They're going to open up that can of dairy air.
Not dairy air, Perry air.
It's dairy air. It's going to be dairy air. Perry air is the water. Dairy air is because you fart in a can, you're going to send it to California for them to huff. That's why it's called dairy air.
That's
California.
Some great ass.
That's California for you right there, though. They just regulate everything, and this is the next thing that they've decided to regulate. And computers. Hopefully, it doesn't trickle down to component level, because everything I've read on the brief that they put out, I mean, it's only 5 pages, but it's got links to a bunch of section titles and article titles and tables and crap. I didn't want to dig in that much of it, but it doesn't specifically list components. Now, if they go down to the component level, you're really going to piss off a lot of gamers, because a lot of hardcore gamers don't buy pre-built systems, because I'm not spending $3,000 on an Alienware system that I can build for myself for $1,200 or $1,500. But according to Dell, there are only 2 models that aren't allowed to be sold in these states. That's the R12 and the R10 Aurora, Alienware Aurora R12 and R10 gaming desktops. So, and that's because of from what I understand, the power consumption of the processor and the video card in those. And that machine ranges from $1,000 to almost $3,000, depending on what you put into it. It is what it is. It's California. That's how I look at it. They're gonna run everybody out of that state, is what's gonna end up happening. Gamers, don't go to California, because there's nothing for you. All right. Anybody else got any last minute suggestions or topics on this banned hardware?
God, no. It's just pathetic that they included medical equipment into that.
Medical monitors, but yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's fucking stupid. Pardon my language. I know I've cussed a lot on this, but I hate ignorant shit.
TVs and barbecue grills are next.
Yep.
Next is going to be mobile phones. Your mobile phones can't be put out this much power, and the screen can't be but so bright, because the screens are polluting nighttime air. So you got to make sure that screen stays dim at nighttime. That's going to be the next thing California bans.
People can't sleep. Screens are too bright.
Right.
Sir, you got to quit masturbating with your phone at that brightness. You got to turn it down a little bit.
You're polluting the air for all the kids in the neighborhood with this thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I hope you guys like this episode, and we hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.